You're not too busy to start a podcast. You're just managing your time wrong. Let me say something upfront that might challenge the way you've been thinking. If you keep telling yourself, I'm too busy to start a podcast, what you're really saying is not that you lack time. What you're saying is, I haven't decided that this deserves a space in my life yet. And that's not an attack, that's clarity. Because everyone listening to this episode is busy. I'm busy, you're busy, everyone's busy. You have a family that deserves your presence. You have a full-time job that maybe drains your energy. You have hobbies, responsibilities, commitments, and expectations. Your calendar is full and your brain is tired. So when podcasting shows up as an idea for you, it immediately feels unrealistic. Not because it is unrealistic, but because it feels like one more thing competing for attention in your life. Now, this episode is for the person who thinks that podcasting requires a massive amount of free time. The person who believes consistency means weekly grind forever and ever and ever, and secretly wonders how anyone pulls this off without neglecting real life. But by the end of this episode, you will not just feel encouraged. You will walk away with a clear way to evaluate your time, a realistic system that fits into a very full life, and permission to start without pressure or guilt. This isn't about hustling harder. It's about managing time like someone who has responsibilities and someone who still wants to create. So let's get into it. This is I Made a Podcast. So my first point is busy is not the real problem. So here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Busy is not the enemy. Unclear priorities is the enemy. Every person I know who says that they're too busy, they're still watching shows on Netflix, they're still scrolling their phones, and they're filling quiet moments of their days with noise. They're doing things automatically instead of intentionally. Being busy doesn't mean that you don't have time. It means that your time is already spoken for, often by default. Podcasting doesn't fail because people lack hours. It fails because people try to squeeze it into the cracks of their lives instead of giving it structure. So think about this. You don't forget to go to work. You don't forget important appointments. You don't forget obligations that have consequences. Why? Because they have defined time slots. Podcasting feels impossible when it lives in the category of, I'll do it when things slow down. If it stays in that category, you'll never get to it. Things do not slow down. So the problem is not how full your schedule is. The problem is that podcasting has no assigned place in it. So part 2 is the myth of a huge time commitment. So let's break down what people think podcasting requires. They imagine hours of planning, perfect outlines, long editing sessions, endless revisions, and technical headaches. So they assume that they need half a day just to record one episode, and that is false. A realistic solo episode looks like this: maybe 20 to 30 minutes to outline ideas, 30 to 45 minutes to record, 30 to 60 minutes to prep or edit, and that's it. But here's the key detail most people miss. Podcasting doesn't feel heavy because of the time. It feels heavy because of the mental load. When podcasting is unplanned, your brain treats it like a threat. When are we doing this? How long does it take? What if it goes wrong? Once you put boundaries around it, the pressure disappears. Clarity reduces overwhelm. Okay, so remember that. When you have clarity around what you are doing, it'll reduce how overwhelmed you feel while you're doing it. So, section number 3 is how to reevaluate your schedule so that you can podcast. Most people say, okay, I've looked at my schedule and I have no time. No, they didn't look at it. They just glanced at it. Reevaluating your schedule means asking uncomfortable questions. For example, how much time do I lose to distractions? Number 2 is, how often am I tired because I'm scattered and overworked? Number 3 is how am I defaulting instead of deciding? And this, again, isn't about guilt. It's about honesty. So most people don't need more time. They need fewer open loops in their lives. Podcasting works best when it lives in early mornings before the day gets loud, or in the evenings when you have a clear end time. Or you can protect a weekend window, like maybe between 2 and 4 on a Saturday afternoon when you're not doing anything. Once a month, maybe. Not just every day and all the time. Just predictably. Put it in your schedule. When you give podcasting a home on your calendar, it stops feeling like an interruption and has a place to live so that you can plan for it. Your brain treats it like, okay, now it's time to podcast. And you'll be more creative when you do it this way as well. And section number 4 is why batching is a non-negotiable. So if you have a full life like me, batching is a productivity hack. It's survival. Trust me. Recording one episode at a time forces you to set up repeatedly, shift mentally every single week, restart momentum over and over. Batching eliminates friction. And when you batch, your ideas flow better, your confidence increases, your time investments shrink. A single focus session can give you weeks of content, and batching protects consistency when life gets busy. So think about it this way. Give yourself one day out of the month, and not the whole day, maybe about 6 hours out of the month. And you can record 4 episodes of your podcast, 4 one-hour episodes, do the editing, and then do all of the scheduling and schedule it and then forget about it. That's how powerful batching is. And for the rest of the month, you don't need to worry about your podcast anymore because it's already done. If you do that once a month, you only really need to do that 12 times every single year, and you have content for the entire year. So you can batch your content, put it in your calendar, and batch your content for one day out of the month. And that can help you to be more consistent in podcasting. Number 5 is distractions are a system problem. So people blame themselves for their distractions, but distractions are not a discipline issue. They're a design issue. If your phone is next to you, you will check it. If the notifications are on, your focus will break when you hear that chime in the background. If your environment is chaotic, your thoughts will be too. The solution is not willpower, it's structure. When podcasting time arrives, your phone should already be out of reach. Your tools should be ready. Your decision making should be already done. Your focus comes from removing choices. So you've already decided now is podcasting time. It's not time to check your phone. It's not time to fiddle with this or that. And you've already decided what your podcast topics are going to be. You hit the record button and you let it rip. And that's how you remove distractions from your podcasting workflow so that you can make efficient use of the time that you have to record your podcast. Now, section number 6 is building a podcast that fits real life. So here's where most people sabotage themselves. They copy someone else's cadence, right? They have weekly episodes, daily clips, endless amounts of output, and then they burn out. And if you look at me, you might think, wow, Chris is doing a lot all the time, when really I have a set period of time, like now when I'm in the studio, recorded all of my podcasts for the next week. And then I have a set time, which is Saturday mornings, when I do all of my editing for about maybe an hour. And during that, when the editing is finished, I cut up the short form clips and then I save them on my phone or schedule them to be sent out in the appropriate time in the following week. And I have very strict systems in place where I created a time and a place for podcasting to live. And that's how I do it without burning out. So your podcast should reflect your capacity. And if that's bi-weekly or monthly or even seasonally, then you can do it. It's not weakness, it's sustainability. Being consistent is not about frequency. It's about reliability. So with I Made a Podcast, I operate this podcast in seasons. I might have maybe about 20 or 30 episodes every single season. And then when the season is over, I take a break, I recalibrate, and then I come back again like what I did start in season number 3. Now, your audience doesn't need more episodes. They need you to keep showing up. So when your season is going, you show up regularly and they can expect to see you. And then when your season is finished, you can say, this is the season finale. Join me, next season when it comes out, and they'll know what to expect next from you is basically what I'm saying. But if you want to go year round, you just need to make sure that you have the right systems in place and that you have the right cadence for your lifestyle. If it's a monthly podcast, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a monthly podcast. But whatever it is, make sure that you show up reliably for the people who want to listen to you. Now, number 7 is practical action steps. And if you know me, I'm all about being practical. So step number 1 is to reevaluate your week. Find 2 windows in your week where you can protect and say, this is podcasting time. Okay. Now, step number 2 is to choose a batching schedule. 1 session every 2 weeks or once a month. You can put it in your calendar, and this is podcasting time when you record all of your episodes, schedule all of your interviews and everything that you need to do. And then set up another time on your calendar if you're going to do your own editing, where you're going to set up maybe an hour or 2 hours once a month after you record your episodes to do the editing. Step number 3 in this practical action step is to eliminate distractions before you start recording. No phones, no multitasking, one job, stick to your script and record your podcast. Step number 4 is to commit to a realistic cadence. Consistency beats intensity. All right. So when you are consistent, you are reliable. So if it's once a week, once a month, once every other week, whatever the frequency is, make sure that you can be consistent and reliable to the people who are expecting to hear your content of your podcast. So just to wrap this up, you are not too busy to start a podcast. You may be busy, but you need clarity, boundaries, and a smart approach in order to fit podcasting into your life. Podcasting is not about creating more pressure. It's about creating with intention. And if this episode helped you reframe how you think about time, then you're already closer than you think. The only thing left to do now is to start. And the best time to start a podcast was 10 years ago. And the second best time is right now. So go ahead and make it happen. Thank you for tuning into I Made a Podcast, and you will hear from me again next week. Be blessed, everyone.